Good evening from Indiana. This is Jerono Rotich. I am, like you've been introduced, I'm from Indiana University, and I'm glad to be joining you tonight. Just a brief introduction. I'm an immigrant from Kenya, professor of kinesiology and associate dean. I'm a research fellow at the Center for New North Carolinians, University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where I lived and worked for many, many years. I served as a interim chair at North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central University. I served as a commissioner for research and publication and International Council of Traditional Sports and Games. What I really enjoyed the most was serving as an immigrant health access coordinator at the Center for New North Carolinians at UNCG Greensboro, and I've served as a board member and advisory board member for many diaspora organizations. And with those beautiful girls, those are my daughters. One is a first generation immigrant and one is a second generation immigrant. So good. All right. So just some opening statements from what I've really enjoyed read is my experience makes me some quotes that I came across that really inspired me is my experiences make me who I am, but they also equally and easily distinguish me from American life. And I can identify with that because my experiences, my language, my accent, I'm an American, but I can still feel that I'm distinguished as other. A sense of belonging can have a significant impact on a person's physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being. We also notice that the increase in the number of immigrant students provides an opportunity to prioritize inclusion and a sense of belonging in schools and communities. And this is from my own experiences, participating in physical education, sports, and sports can help immigrant students learn about other cultures, promote integration, belonging, and improve health. And I'm saying this from an experience where in Kenya I was an athlete, I was a coach, and I have served in many capacities, so I know what that means. Significance of physical activity for immigrants. So why is it that we really want to why it is that we want to encourage? Again, like I said, I'm a living example where I grew up participating in athletics, in sports, track and field, all the way from the local to the national level, where I was coaching the international athletes, the good runners who win all the sports. I was a coach. And when I came to this country, it really helped me to acculturate, to transition into this difficult culture. So what are some of the benefits? Physical activity can help immigrants feel a sense of belonging in several ways, including build community. It's a great way to build community, to get to know people, and to build the networks within the community. It creates a sense of purpose. Physical activity can support a sense of purpose and direction for disadvantaged young people. Reduces stress big time. I was going to school with two kids, working 24/7. So the ability to just get out there and do some physical activity really helped me. And it also helped my children because they participated in basketball, soccer, all those activities, and it really helped them. Physical activity can help immigrants reduce stress and negative thoughts and regain control. Physical activity can help immigrants regain control over, especially when they're facing immigration-related challenges, increasing self-efficacy, strengthens ethnic identity, and learn life skills and escapism. So again, these are things that I'm not just saying. I've seen that myself. I encountered that myself and my kids. I saw my kids go through these and benefit heavily from active participation in physical activity and sports. Just a brief thing on demographics. We know that the U.S. continues to witness an increase and influx of immigrants and refugees. Schools in the United States have always welcomed new immigrant children to their classrooms. According to the recent data, there were more than 840,000 immigrant students in the United States and more than 4.6 million English learners. We're also told that by data that by the year 2050, racial ethnic groups will make 48% of the total population, and in 2022, immigrant origin students comprise 5.8 million of all higher education students. So why did we come here? Why do I come here? Why do many of my fellow immigrants come here? Some of them, especially the refugees, are fleeing persecution, political, and some of those economic hardships. They've been here to seek economic opportunities, education, career, and opportunities. Like myself, I came in as a student in 1995 and transitioned into now I'm an American citizen and working in one of the institutions. Also, they come here to seek for athletic opportunities and make more money. We have a lot of our students that I mentor They're here on athletic scholarship. They're here some of them have actually, especially the athletes and different ones, have changed their citizenship, and they run and participate in sports on behalf of the United States. And then, of course, for better health care. So those are some of the reasons why they flee. Actually, this is my country, Kenya, and this is stuff that happened in 2008, and it was devastating. And we saw a huge influx of people leaving the country. So what happened? I'm gonna talk about this theory that we developed. We call it transition from the norm. So this is where most of them come. We have this concept, we call it the village. Almost all of us, I grew up in a village, I grew up in a hut, you can see that. And we use a concept of a 3-stone, where the 3 stones simply signifies the support from your family, your community, your school. So we are who we are because of the support that we received. And if you look at that estate right there, that village, we were supported. We grew up together. We had that support from the community, from the parents, from that. So most immigrants have grown up with that, from that perspective, or those spaces where they have that community support. And that is how they and we have been able to excel in the spaces where we found ourselves in. Immigrant students, again, immigrant origin students constitute first and second generation immigrant students in the U.S. First generation immigrant students were born abroad and immigrated to the U.S. to live. Like I said, I have two. I have first generation and second generation. My daughter came here when she was 1 year old, and my second child is a second generation where she was born in this country. So what I found out is, even just from raising my own children, and they all participated in sports and physical activity, their experiences were very different. So the first generation students, first generation immigrants born abroad, may not speak English and may have studied school abroad, like my daughter studied school back in Kenya before she came here. They're very familiar, she participated, they're very familiar with sports, games, and culture of their home country. They may experience acculturation stress. They tend to feel torn between their home country and the new country. They find the U.S. culture and life as unfamiliar and challenging, and all the activities related to that. Self-identity still rooted back home, and are aware that they're foreign in their country. They're interested in life and culture back home. They still have those culture of going back and forth, and we see all that is happening. They still identify more with what is going on at home, whereas the second generation immigrant students, the U.S. born children of immigrants, grew up speaking English and attending U.S. schools. Some are bilingual, others cannot speak their parents' language, like my kids. One can, one cannot. So it's very interesting. Parents are often conservative, expect tighter control over children, and view larger society as alien. Children are torn between parents' ideas and larger society, leading to common conflicts. Again, been there, done that, and if we had more time, I would share about the conflicts that we went through raising my 2 children. So what are some of the challenges that we've seen in terms of the immigrant students wanting to participate, especially in sports and physical activity, and generally in the community activities? I use the 7 U's. Most of them, they're underserved. They live in the communities where they don't get a lot of resources. They don't have walkable spaces where they can participate in physical activity in sports. Most of us grew up in places where there was a lot of space for play, for activity. Underinsured. That is why some of the students cannot participate in sports, because in most cases they require insurance, or underinsured without, they don't have enough insurance, and parents are very conscious of them being very involved, especially in those contact sports, because should anything happen, then they are not able to cover the expenses. Uninformed, a lot of them are not aware of the culture, of what is expected to participate in sports, in activities, or some of the cultural, they have some cultural barriers that really, they're not sure whether or not to participate. For an example, when I grew up in Kenya, I can't ride a bike up to today because I was just not allowed to ride bike. There were some cultural norms and beliefs about women riding bikes, and I believed those. So when I came here, I did not try to ride a bike. I can't ride a bike, and I still don't ride a bike. Underrepresented, they don't see a lot of faces that look like them. So as they, especially in the sports arena, when they want to participate in activities in sports, they don't feel comfortable because they don't see people who are like them, and then they're uninterested and untrusting. So those are some of the 7 U's. I'm running through that because I don't want to run out of time. So what does it mean to educate an immigrant child? What are some of the facilitators and challenges? Facilitators, again, there's free access to public elementary and secondary education, which most of them did not get in their home countries. Access to resources and technology. So you've seen some of them being venturing and getting into sports and athletics and reading and learning about that. So that has really helped a little bit of their acculturation. Technological advances, access to cell phones, computers, internet, which most of those were not available in their home countries. Free transportation, or there's accessibility to transportation and public transportation. So therefore, some of them are able to get into activities or participate. Access to scholarships and internships. So then they can get into where they can volunteer in sports related events, or scholarships where they can participate in higher education or activities. Access to affordable or free food at school, that is a big plus to them. In terms of challenges, we're talking about language barriers and cultural differences, especially with participation in sports. For women especially, there are some activities that it's a taboo for women to participate in. So there's that reluctance to participate because of that, because of the language barriers. They're not able to read and understand the rules and everything, and just all the issues related to sports. Less likely to possess cultural knowledge for schools assignments, choice of schools, sports, and activities. They tend to attend low quality or low resource schools, segregated schools, due to their socioeconomic status. So most of them are resettled in low neighborhoods where they have access to very limited resources. Prejudice, may encounter prejudice, discrimination, or bullying. So that's why they just stay away and come home, go to school and come home. Their parents are always very busy. They have to work all the time to make, to make life ends, or to meet their life expenses. So therefore, their parents are not available to support, to take them to sports events, after school sports, or all those kinds of activities. And they have limited time. Some of them may have to work to support their parents. So therefore, they may not have that time to get into sports or to get into activities. And then balancing conflicting expectations from parents, culture, and peers. So how do we unlock potential for immigrant students to participate? What does that mean? Unlocking potential for immigrant students to participate in physical activity and sports. Making inclusion and belonging a priority in schools and in the field. There's so many ways we can do that, availing resources in multiple languages, having diverse staff. Like I say, when they see people who look like them, they tend to participate. Being mindful of additional burdens and cultural concerns the students face, and providing them or connecting them with available resources and activities. Students come with tons and tons of burdens and challenges and concerns. So being mindful of that and listening to them and helping them to navigate that will go a long way. Incorporating inclusive curriculum and activities, and encouraging participations in sports and clubs. We actually had, and I'll show later on, some of the activities that we did back in North Carolina was we had African women and youth activities where we came together. The youth would play soccer or learn basketball, and the women are doing their own different things there. So we actually brought the families together to do activities. So incorporating that into the curriculum, making sure that you have room for culturally diverse activities, or some of the games that they play. Like, for example, when I was in Kenya, I was very good in netball. We don't have it in this country. I was very good in handball. And actually, I was a coach for handball and netball all the way to the national level. When we came here, we didn't have that. So there are a lot of sports that was very involved in, participated in, coached. But when I came to this country, we don't have those. So everything was new. I remember when I first came to this country, I was a teaching assistant, and the first course they gave me to teach was archery. I had no idea. I just knew the traditional archery, but I couldn't teach that. But I had to learn that immediately. So those are some of the things that I've seen work for the communities that I've worked with. preventing and mitigating bullying promptly. A lot of our students have reported being bullied, being discriminated, being called names, being stereotyped because of their accent, because of how they dress, what they wear, and all that. So again, having our coaches and teachers being proactive in mitigating and preventing those will go a long way. And then cultivating relationships with students. If you don't get to know your students, then they'll not open up, especially from this community. So taking that time to cultivate those relationships, get to know them, get to know their families, get to know what is going on as much as you can will help you encourage that participation. Promoting family and community involvement. We did a lot of work there. We brought in family. We brought in family to the soccer events that we did on Saturday. We did a lot of those activities in their churches. So bringing activities to them, involving them as much as you can, because most of the immigrants live in a communal family. We are community based. We're communally focused. So bringing and involving the community, and then creating multiple channels to communicate with families and community organizations that we trust, or they trust their communities, their churches, their local organizations, their imam, their mosque. So taking that information and communicating through those organizations will help a long way. And then increasing diverse staff and offering professional cross-cultural learning opportunities for educators and coaches so that they can be able to understand and meet the needs of the immigrant students in our spaces. So that's some of the examples of projects that we participate in, actually, that we created. One was Faces Around Us. It was a multicultural youth program that was funded by the local foundation in North Carolina, where we brought youth from diverse communities, and we did sports, we did activities. And during those events, when we brought the youth to participate, we actually brought the parents so that they can understand, and we provided education on the benefits of sports, some of the activities, intramural and extramural activities that they can participate in. So we were very focused and we were very strategic on helping these young people culturally. We also had a immigrant and minority youth after school programs where we were funded. So we did after school programs at different schools, at elementary, middle school, and high schools. It was actually basically, we did a lot of them in the elementary school and middle school. Again, introducing this newly arrived youth to sports, to after school activities, where we help them with their homework, assignments, and then we actually play sports, and we talked about health and nutrition. And then another program that we were funded by the Department of Education was Project Bounce, developing resiliency and responsibility using sports. And this was targeting high school students. And yeah, this was especially for targeting high school students. So in terms of really, this is my conclusion, is making inclusion and belonging a priority. I like to use this analogy. I come from Kenya, and we love to dance, and we love to be part of the party. So who is in the room in terms of diversities? Who is in the room? Students, when they come in there, they want to see who is in the room. They see people who look like them. So a range of differences among people, including their background, experience, and perspective. When students can identify with people who look like them, who've had similar experiences, and then having a seat at the table when they come into the room, can they fully participate in sports? I remember we used a sports education model where we actually gave them different roles and different responsibilities. So that actually gave them a perspective of, especially when they are learning new games about the US. So we use a sports education model to make sure that everyone is at the table and everyone has something to do. So are they invited to the party? Inclusion is a state of being included. Are they included in activities? When they come to physical activity classrooms, when they come to the sports after school, intramural, extramural, are they included? Do they have a voice? Of their ideas and their voices respected, or they're just being told? So that analogy that we use is being asked to dance. You're invited to the party, but do you just sit there, or you're asked to come to the party and dance? And then the last one is, of course, is belonging, is feeling of being accepted, included, and valued in a group environment. Having your voice be heard, feelings valued through positive connection with others, and able to bring your authentic self. And then, of course, with the analogy back base, and we love this, is we love going to parties. We want to be invited to the dance floor to dance. And we want to feel asked for input in music, or being asked to, feeling free to ask someone to dance with you. So that's the kind of, that's how, we dance. We love to do this, but we want to feel like we're in this dance fully, where we can dance, we can participate, and do everything that we can do. All right, I'm gonna stop there and have room. So I'll have time for questions, Q&A later, but thank you again. I rushed that because I'm trying to keep my time.